Hey guys, welcome back. We're looking at section 3, chapter 27 today, Japan today. Remember, looking at the map, our location of Japan, east of North and South Korea. Our big idea, Japan has overcome many challenges to become one of the most highly developed countries in Asia. Our essential questions: what has Japan done to develop one of the world's strongest economies since World War II? How is Japan affected by the shortage of space for its population? And what three challenges does Japan face for its citizens, and how are they acting to fix the issues? So what has Japan done to develop one of the world's strongest economies since World War II? Their development of a democratic government and strong world economy. Their capital city is Tokyo. Their government is a constitutional monarchy headed by an emperor. We've talked about the constitutional monarchies before, prime example being Great Britain with the Queen. Remember then that the emperor, like the Queen, doesn't have any real significant role in the government. They're more of a figurehead. They're there for show, and it isn't where they're making economic or legislative decisions on behalf of the people of Japan. Very little real power. The elected legislator or diet and prime minister create laws and run the country. Its economy then. The economic success is a result of Japan becoming a world-leading manufacturer. We look at all of the, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but all the products that they create and build and then ship out to the rest of the world. They're innovative with technology and new ideas. Anytime there's significant technological advances, chances are it originated in Japan. You know, we can thank them for things like the Nintendo, the PlayStation, the Discman, which led to the iPod, which was built in the United States by Apple. But those types of things are what Japan is known for. The VCR and then the DVD player. Few natural resources though, so the economy depends on this trade to provide for its citizens. The strong economy is also a result of the Japanese work ethic. Doing something for the sake of doing it right is how they look at what they're working on. They maintain a large trade surplus and keep tariffs high on imports. So a surplus then means that they are trading more out than they're taking in, and part of that has to do with the tariff. And a tariff is very similar to a tax. They put a tax on any kind of import coming back into the country. So it makes it more difficult for countries to accept their goods and then try and trade some of their own goods back. So what we're looking at here is just a graphic organizer of the Japanese government. The legislative branch, so just like ours, a cabinet underneath the executive branch, and then a judicial and courts, and then, you know, just down the flow of the decision making. Top exports then worldwide. So what are we looking at for exports from Japan? Topping the list is going to be vehicles, and they sell $134 billion worth of vehicles to the United States. So 21.4% of their total exports. Third on the list, electronic equipment, $95.6 billion, or 15.3% of their total exports. One that surprises me is the organic chemicals, and then the oil and rubber. A small percentage, but still a lot of money. How then is Japan affected by the shortage of space for its population? Japan is densely populated. Tokyo is home to 30 million people. 845 square miles. Fargo is 50 square miles and home to 228,000 people. So we get a sense of that, of how squished in essentially everybody living in Tokyo is. So if we squish Tokyo to Fargo size, population density would be 40,000 per square mile versus 2,100. Urban life, they have to build the building construction, tall and narrow buildings. They use underground space. This will be a danger to them though, due to the earthquakes. Remember, they are located along the Ring of Fire, that Pacific Rim, the location of the tectonic plates. Many live outside the city and commute by train. There are many amenities though in the city, museum, stores. Life in other cities. Most large cities are as crowded as Tokyo. It might not have as many people, but the population density is going to be just as high. Osaka is the second largest city, and then Kyoto is the former capital of Japan. So when we're looking at the population map, any red dot is going to be 100,000 people. We see where the dense areas are then. Tokyo, and then around Nagoya. And then we have pockets of densely populated areas in the southernmost island of Japan. Just some images then, looking at what life is like in the city. The buildings are tall and narrow, as I stated before. You don't have a lot of personal space like we've grown accustomed to here in North Dakota. What three challenges does Japan face for its citizens, and how are they acting to fix the issues? Well, crowding. We talked about the population density in the cities. Spaces come at a high price. It's very expensive. Buildings, as we stated before, tall and narrow construction, the danger because of the earthquakes. Economic competition. So its second challenge Japan faces is competition from other countries. They've begun to challenge their economy. China and South Korea are developing their economies and then being major players in the global market. And then pollution is also a problem. Sanitation and air quality issues. So understand, like if we were talking about New York, same kind of deal. All those people pushed into that little area, making sure that they are living in sanitary conditions and breathing good air. The Kyoto Protocol was a global agreement to reduce greenhouse gas emissions based on the premise that A, global warming does exist, and B, man-made CO2 emissions have caused it. Your entrance ticket then. What is one example of how Japan's government has changed since World War II? What are two ways the Japanese try to save space in larger cities? And so two ways. Remember, within the question then, I'm going to ask you for two, so make sure you're answering the question completely. What are two countries which have begun to challenge Japan's economy in this region of the world? Okay. These questions are found in the chapter 27, section 3. There's an entrance ticket located there in Schoology. Remember to have your entrance ticket completed prior to arriving in class on the assigned day. And we'll talk to you again soon.